The topic of human cloning is a very controversial subject, which spurs a lot of opinions and feelings. There are a multitude of stakeholders whom hold these perspectives on human cloning, including scientists and researchers, healthcare professionals, government and policymakers, the general public, and patient advocacy groups. It's important to consider these various perspectives on human cloning to better understand the complexities surrounding the issue, as well as helping stakeholders make informed decisions and develop empathy and discover flaws in one's own thinking. Human cloning can be defined as the creation of a genetically identical copy of a human. There are two types of cloning, therapeutic cloning and reproductive cloning. Therapeutic cloning involves cloning cells from a human to utilize it in transplants and medicine. Another form is reproductive, which entails making an entire cloned human. The first perspective I want to turn to is scientists and researchers. Scientists favor human cloning because it provides significant and impactful medical advances. These advances include stem cell therapy, disease research, and drug development. Specifically, human cloning could prevent hereditary disease through manipulation of stem cells to prevent genetic abnormality. Scientists are not naive and admit that there are many dangers in human cloning. They acknowledge the danger which can lead to abnormal children and adults, as well as the difficult decision about which genes should be corrected. Healthcare professionals are both optimistic and hesitant when it comes to this topic. They're optimistic because therapeutic cloning could lead to medical benefits with the use of stem cells, which improves success of patient care. Most healthcare professionals, though, are hesitant about reproductive cloning since there are risks such as birth defects or other abnormalities that could result from this kind of cloning. Government and policymakers take a different view on this because they not only focus on the ethical concerns, but also the legal issues surrounding it. Many countries have enacted laws which strictly forbid human cloning, while others have just adopted many positions that restrict certain kinds of cloning or recommend against it. Policymakers, including global organizations, consider human cloning a violation of human dignity. Legal experts are concerned that reproductive cloning may lead to designer babies or parents choosing what genes they want in a child. Patients and advocacy groups are often proponents to therapeutic cloning since it can possibly save the life of a loved one. They are often frustrated at the hurdles presented by legal logistics and ethical concerns surrounding it. There's also the realization that cloning procedures may not be covered fully by insurance policies and therefore would be very costly to the patient. But advocacy groups still hold hope that one day ethical and moral issues will align for the need to better remedy chronic and deadly diseases. The last perspective we want to examine is the general public, which includes myself. The general public is split between those who support and are against cloning. Their views are often shaped by things like their religion and their cultural values. A recent poll found that only 12% of Americans thought that human cloning was acceptable. Groups like Christians are against human cloning since they believe that human life begins at conception, and using the embryo for cloning, it goes against human dignity. So in many cases, the public is not very informed about the specifics involved in cloning. It's important that we continue to educate the public on the benefits and the dangers involved in this in a transparent way. It's clear that after examining the wide variety of perspectives, cloning negates a very strong opinion and emotion for everyone. It seems that most perspectives hold that therapeutic cloning is more acceptable than reproductive, but it's possible that genetic abnormalities and the risk of human cloning is bigger than the need for it. The possibility of this is enough to make hesitation in all groups. I believe that the conversation must continue between everybody in order for the government to make good policies and for the guidelines that reflect the ethical concerns by all groups.